And back to late night in the Midlands. Doctor, welcome back.
Well, here we are. Thank you for having me back.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you. And whenever there's some new type of Planet X stuff coming out, you know you're the first one I go after.
Well, we have, what, a couple hours tonight, huh?
Yes, sir, we do.
Well, let's tackle this from a little different perspective than what we usually plunge right in and rock 'em, sock 'em, and this is that and that. I want to ease into something that I've noticed has been happening across the planet in terms of its inability to successfully deal with ever-growing intensity of Mother Nature's natural events. I know I hate to start out, with having to talk about all the bad stuff going on, because it's going on. No one's talking about the escalating earth changes. There's so much other garbage out there,
There is.
Congressman Wiener's run for the mayorship. Give me a break. There are serious things that are taking place across this place we call home, planet Earth. They call it the third rock from the sun and all that stuff. We're going to touch on Planet X too, so don't worry. This is about Planet X. We're talking about the effects of it, but I'll talk about Planet X in a separate conversation. I want to go back to what's going on locally, regionally, nationally, hemispherically, and then globally.
Okay.
All earthquake, volcanic, fire, wind, tsunami, solar, all of these aberrations, all of them are totally off the chart as of this moment in time. They're at their all-time highs. Some of them, the records have now been broken 2 or 3 times in the last year or two. People are just not awake. They're not interested. Maybe they are, but they don't know how to figure out where to find the information. For instance, if you want to have some fun and go, oh my God, I can't believe how many earthquakes there are, I want you to try something. I personally subscribe to USGS, and I've asked them to send me email alerts on any and all earthquakes. Well, let's just say from 5 above. Forget about all the 4s and the 3s that set up the bigger ones. And I asked for a specific region. I said I wanted the Ring of Fire. We all know what the Ring of Fire is.
Oh, yeah.
And by gosh, they set me up. And for the last year and a half, I get 2 or 3 a day. I'll repeat that again. I get 2 or 3 a day. 6, 7, 9, 7.5, 7, 6, 6.5. And they're all coming up and down. It's like running a marathon from one end of the Ring of Fire to the other. They ring from up in the Aleutians all the way down to the Pacific and all the way back up, all the way around. I mean, it's like charm. They're up 450%. I don't know if that really rings your bell or not.
Oh, absolutely.
I didn't say 4.5%. I said 450%. And the severity and the depths are getting shallower and shallower. That's not good.
No, that's not good.
That's not good. Now, we've already talked about danger of earthquakes and how to do this. What's the matter? Oh my goodness. Well, Mike, we have an interruption. What's the matter, little guy? One of my kitty cats every once in a while when the wind blows, and we've had a little wind tonight, my one little kitty cat, come on, Rascal, my little beautiful American gray, he whines like a little child. Let's digress for a second. We've got 2 hours, right? Two and a half hours?
Yes, we do.
I want to. We're still talking about the Earth changes thing. We're not changing channels. I want to shift it to what's happening to the animal world in all of this stuff. My cats are becoming extremely aware of slight changes taking place either in rain or wind or thunder. They used to never be afraid of the thunder and lightning. Never. I've had them every 4 years. In the last 13, 14 months, they've all developed this strange, unsettling, uncanny fear, and they all hide deeply into a closet as they can, as if they understand, as if they already understood about tornadoes. And that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
I think they instinctively know when these events are about to happen. So I'm learning from them, and they're teaching me about how to get prepared. That's how serious I take all of the things that you and I talk about.
Absolutely. And Dr. Wren, I had mentioned to you earlier about this Google Sky image that's out there. And, and I went and checked the coordinates, about 4:30 in the morning after my show last night. And sure as can be, it is there. It's moving right along, I guess. But now you...
Of course. It's on its outward passage, but it's still close. And it's still disturbing our sun. I guess we've segued into Planet X, I guess, huh?
Yes, we have.
Well, I mean that's fine. That's what we do, you and I.
Right.
All right. Well, we had left off where I'm now so in tune with my 5 rescued kitty cats, my dear friends, that they're teaching me, and I hope I'm teaching them, because I've taught them where I've got emergency stashes of food and water for them in several parts of the house. In case I am struck with something, at least they'll have food up and down. See, people got to realize those animals are in my charge. If something happens to them, I have to deal with myself because I wasn't prepared, or I didn't care, or whatever. The point is, they're lives. They're not human lives, but they're lives, and they're our souls. All right. So I'm beginning to put all the pieces together now, even far closer than the last time you and I were together with your audience. Everything, I have to say it right from the beginning of the show, Michael. There isn't a thing you and I have talked about. There isn't a statistic we have cited. There isn't a source we've led you to. There isn't an untruth that we've spoken that you cannot go out and show us that we are 100% correct. We have been right in all of our predictions. And if there's any exaggeration, I held back on how severe I thought some of it was going to be to look at that last phase of tornado.
Yeah.
We can't even begin to understand the destructive force. They say that the tornado that tore through that was in Missouri, wasn't it, or was it Oklahoma?
Oklahoma, I believe it was, yeah.
Was possibly off the charts at a 5.5 to a 6, which has never been reported before. These things out of hand.
Sure, 5s used to be rare.
For a long time. Now, there is nothing we can do about it. There is nothing we can physically do or environmentally do to stop any of it from happening. Hey, now, I keep stopping here. Now, Rascal, come on, buddy. That a boy. There's nobody here. Come on, sweetheart. I hate to take the time, Michael, but that animal's very special to me.
Oh, it's quite all right.
And he was crying like a little baby. Come on over, say hi to Michael. Here he comes. Hi, Marco. He'll come over and say hi. All right. They all like you, by the way. They listen to your show all the time.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, they even have union cards. All right. Little levity here. We gotta keep this extremely forthright and serious, but at the same time, gotta have a little fun here now and then. So, I figure let's do like a prediction.
Okay.
Sometimes they can be very dangerous. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they're not. I don't care. Mine have been right almost 99.99%.
I could verify that too. You have been right on. I mean, when I first started this show, you were like one of my first guests that I had on, and you've been on ever since. And you kept telling me the earthquakes were going to pick up, the tornadoes and the storms were going to get worse. And
this was 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, almost 6 years ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I am not pleased to say that these predictions have been almost perfectly correctly true, but more importantly, I think that I'd be safe on making a positive prediction. If we can hold all of this together until September or October of 2016, and the Earth doesn't suddenly rip itself apart with a series of earthquakes or some other catastrophic thing, we might make it through. I've said that from the beginning. This was not forecast to be, nor was it destined to be as serious as the last time that this so-called Planet X, which is not a planet, it's a brown dwarf star. I guess we're going to have to do the little Earth thing real quick, huh?
Yeah. Sure, yeah.
We jumped into it, didn't we, huh?
We did.
Boots and ankles deep, huh? Okay, here we go. All right, what is Planet X? Planet X is not a planet. It is a brown dwarf star. This brown dwarf star was originally part of our solar system that goes back possibly 10 to 12 billion years in time. During that time, we believe that there were originally 12 planets that were designed, constructed, and placed into orbit around the sun, which was placed there under the control of another star. Now we're getting deep into it, Michael. You better break out the vodka, okay? There were originally 12 planets in this solar system. There were 3 suns. I'll take this one step at a time. There's the central sun that we know and love every morning. There was a little baby sun, which ultimately became Wormwood, or relabeled as Planet X and 1,000 other names. And there is this big, giant, blue-black, probably 30 times the size of our sun, anchoring the sun and our solar system. This blue-black sun is a huge mass, and people might even consider it a black hole, a billion or so miles from us. Now in space, that ain't such a big, I mean, not really, that's a lot of miles, a billion miles, right?
It sure is.
But considering that our solar system and everything in it circles around a much larger mass of stars called the Milky Way galaxy. Now, this Milky Way galaxy is roughly 75,000 miles thick at its center, and in circumference, it's probably 275,000 light years across. So when you look down on it, it's known as the plane of the ecliptic. You see the swirling mass of stars. Now, I said swirling. Which way were they? You know which way the Milky Way swirls, Michael?
I want to say clockwise, but it's probably
and etched their images in the cave that you'll find absolutely all over the world. Most, if you really want to study caves like I've been doing, what you got to do is you got to read and get on the internet. You'll find that almost every major cave drawing ever discovered of any value, of any consequence, shows flying saucers in them, as well as a very strange companion sun to ours. Now, I wonder why that is. What did they know? You know, they were just savages, right?
yeah, apparently.
Well, suppose these savages had sky visitors, or what they called sky people. The legends go that the early hominids, call them cavemen all the way up to Neanderthal, all spoke of and knew about those sky people in their flying shields. Very descriptive words. Sky people in their flying shields, like flying saucer shields. It's even in Vatican paintings, and some say it's even in the Last Supper. It's used the Last Supper. So, check me out. Don't take my word for it, folks. Check me out. So, Planet X has been around a long, long time. Basically, what happened was that a large, potentially planetary-sized rock asteroid, it's something big. Let's say it was the size of Mars or the size of the Earth. This object was that big. It's believed that it came smashing through the plane of the ecliptic of our solar system, traveling in the opposite motion, being that it was coming in a clockwise trajectory, which means if it made contact with any object in our solar system of any size, there would be an instant collision, as I explained earlier, like two freight trains on the same track.
Right.
Because you're going in opposing directions. Well, this object comes careening through. The 12 planets were basically arranged just like they are, except there was a huge rocky. It's not understood why this particular planet appeared to be so dead, but it was a big planet. It was probably the size of the Earth, but it was all solid rock. It was called Marduk, M-A-R-D-U-K, Marduk. It's all through history. The term Marduk brings fear in people's hearts because the whole portrait of it is like an evil killing thing. Anyway, the first solar system object that this incoming rock, the size of the Earth, makes impact, a direct hit with Marduk. Because Marduk's orbit was way out away from Saturn and also Mars, because Marduk was in a position between Mars and Saturn, the open void space, kind of in the middle. But it was way out of the inner ring. So when the collision occurred, it smashed it into trillions and billions and billions of pieces, which eventually formed into what is now known as our asteroid belt. And you'll find that the asteroid belt resides right in between Mars and Saturn. I didn't make this up, folks. I'm not making any of this up, so check it out. So when that happened, not only did this object break apart, but big pieces of Marduk were sent crashing inward through the interior of the solar system on their way to the sun. Some pieces actually did hit the sun. Another planet that we believe was struck was Mars. That was the next closest planet, and it dealt Mars a death blow. We believe that Venus, possibly even Mercury. Do you know that they just now discovered what they think is ice at the top of Mercury's poles?
Yes. Yeah, I heard.
That was just announced by NASA. What? I thought Mercury was, a pillar of fire, 8,000 degrees. Well, anyway, we believe that Venus and Earth and Mars were all scheduled to bear life. Now, I didn't say human life. Didn't say human life. We believe, as is the legend, in our book. By the way, the name of our book is The Return of Planet X. So anybody that's interested in what we're talking about, can I flip the commercial in?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, all right, cool. Anything that Michael and I are talking about, everything that we're talking about is in my book. It's really interesting. You can get them at my website, www.returnofplanetx, or through Michael's show, or simply call me. I'll give you my phone number, 901-836-9660. I am accessible, and I do answer my phone. Okay. And I'll work out a deal with you and send you a discount to book, and I'll sign it for you. Okay. So, we'll come back to more stuff about that later. So, Mars takes a direct hit. In fact, it hit it so hard, it's believed that this a big piece of either Marduk or this rocky asteroid hit just below Mars' southern hemisphere. And there, if you look there, there's a huge, ugly bulge that sticks out of Mars that no one has been able to explain. They photographed it, and it's just too weird. It's like a tumor bulging out of a stomach. Excuse the graphic description. And it's there. You can see it if you have access to those pictures.
And I'll tell you something, Dr. Rand. I think that there was at one point, if not life on Mars, that life maybe from this planet or another planet was on Mars, because I've seen quite a few pretty convincing photographs of what looks to be like pyramids and even faces, monuments that are built there. Interesting stuff. But go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's quite all right. Listen, it's your show. All right.
But hey, you're the man with the knowledge.
Listen, don't argue with the boss. I just took a little slug of nice cold. I love sipping cold water. Okay, so we got as far as Marduk being destroyed, other pieces being sent inward through the solar, into the solar system, eventually with a trajectory toward the sun. Another piece hits planet Earth, big time. There's been a lot of conjecture as to what started this whole point of continental drift, because in the beginning, 7.5, 8 billion years ago, there was only one continental mass. It was called Pangea. And it was all unified. One long, stretchy, twisty piece. And if you cut out all of take a surface map and go ahead and take the time to cut out all the different continents, you'll find they all come together quite nicely, and you go, really? It's true. We think that a very, very large piece of something came slamming into the Earth's atmosphere, and its impact area was approximately where the Mediterranean Sea is. In fact, that's probably what caused the Mediterranean Sea to be hollowed out like that, like an impact crater, and the oceans of the world filled it in. And after another couple of billion years, the Mediterranean Sea became very refined. And when this impact occurred, it began what's known as the global continental drift theory. And once that started, of course, we have what we now have. Like I said, if you shrink the pieces back, they all come together. So, how else did that change the dynamic on the planet is partly conjecture, but it's believed that the entire planet was hit so hard that that's why we have it tilt. And that may have been fortuitous for us, because that tilt gives us our climate change. Otherwise, we probably were flying in perfect balance. Probably everything would, summer would be summer, winter would be winter, whatever. Anyway, another piece flew inward and hit Venus directly, killing it instantly. Instantly killing Venus. Mars suffered a slower death. When it punctured Mars's atmosphere, it all escaped. The explosion was so violent that Mars lost its atmosphere, and of course, they still believe that there was water and oceans on Mars at some point. It all got sucked up into space. The piece that hit the Earth, caused continental drift, probably stopped the planet in its tracks. I'm sure that there were huge earthquakes and unbelievable. That's what they believe could have caused the rise of the Andes and the Rockies, because all of those, although they're all old, they're still pretty much grouped together, within a billion years of each other. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
that would explain that. It's hard to believe that it took Mount Everest, 7 billion years. I think it came up a little quicker than that. Anyway, another piece, after destroying part of Earth, all of Venus, a large part of Mars and Mars, another large piece went flying directly through the pathway of the other planets. Huge piece. Big. Right toward the sun. And as either God would have directed it, if this is, the universe belongs to God, I'm not going to throw religion in here, but something created all this. Can you imagine the computer program that just created the solar system?
And I believe that too. I believe that this was all created. And I don't get into.
I guess the question is who, though?
Yeah, exactly. Because everything.
Or what? Or what?
Yeah, exactly.
Wouldn't it be terrible if it was something called a what, not a who? I mean, all right. So this big piece goes flying off directly at the sun. I don't know, it could have been as big as the moon, it could have been as big as our Earth. Now this baby sun, which we talked about, remember, is the size of Saturn but 60 times its mass. And to make a long, horrible story short, it had a head-on collision. Head-on. With this object. Instantly killing its little fusion machine. Killed it. And it spun it 180 degrees out of its orbit and sent it like a bullet, cascading out of the solar system, out deep into space, headed toward the big blue-black giant. Now, just the fact that when this thing was cascaded out, it was cascaded out toward and in the direction of the blue-black sun. Now, somebody had to program that. Otherwise, it would have just gone out, you see, just gone out into space with nothing to stop it. So what happened was, whatever computer program designed that disaster, it turned out sent this little object. Now, this little object is this little dead baby sun. And when they die, they become known as brown dwarfs stars. Might be interesting if you want to check out what a brown dwarf star is. It's either in my book or there's tons of stuff on the internet. By the way, there are 100 books that have been written about Planet X. 100 of them. And they're all pretty damn good. But luckily, mine was one of the very first. And so I'm really pleased to have that legacy behind me. Now there's another 100 books. I would check them all out. If you can afford it, check out as many as you can, but start with mine first. I got the commercial in, right?
That's right.
All right. All right, back to the series. This little sun was cast out upon an elliptical, a long, narrow, skinny elliptical orbit, which takes it approximately 1,800 years, traveling at hundreds of thousands of miles per hour, out into space. It's probably like the billion miles we're talking about to get to this blue black giant. And it's cast out in that direction, and once it's cast out, it follows where it goes. It follows where it goes. And it goes directly back to the big blue black giant. And when it gets there, after 1,800 years of traveling, it's cast again, slingshotted back out from behind the blue black giant, way up and over it, and out it comes back toward our solar system, because that's its trajectory. And it's always accurate. Always, always accurate. Never fails.
Right.
And about every 3,600 years, so that's 1,800 out and 1,800 back. Now that also takes in the amount of time it takes for it to go around the blue black giant and get back to us. It's about somewhere around 3,600 years. It can be off by as much as 100 years or 200 years, but it's pretty much close. This time, it was real close.
I see.
Real close. This is within 4 years. How about that? Predicted. The last time it was here, and everybody want to write this down, you can check it out, was approximately 1447 BC, before Christ, BC. Because that's the same time period that Moses was leading the Israelites out of slavery and bondage in Egypt, where they had been slaving for over 400 years, building monuments and buildings and tombs and pyramids. That was that whole story about Moses. So you see, we can't get away from the biblical aspect. And while I'm there, if anybody has a Bible handy, grab it and go to the book of Revelation, which is the last book of the Bible, and you go to chapter 8, write it down, chapter 8, verse 11, and I'll quote it. And the name of the star is wormwood. One word, wormwood. It has nothing to do with the Russian word for Chernobyl. Forget it, forget it, forget it.
Yeah, I've heard that. One of my colleagues says...
It's nonsense. That is not what we're talking about. Okay. In chapter 8, in the book of Revelation, completely described. And that's the key that I needed to start writing my book, because I found it described perfectly in biblical scripture. So how's that for an endorsement of the truth? If you believe in the Bible and in the Word. You follow me?
Right. Oh, yeah.
All right. Okay. So chapter 8 deals with all of the effects, describes what this phenomena is, why it comes, and how it works, and all of that, and what it does. And it even names it. And the name is, it calls it a star. It calls it a fallen star in Scripture, chapter 8. So it predicts its coming, and some say that there's a code within chapter 8 of the book of Revelation which actually describes it as being 3,600 years in orbit. I'm still looking for that one, but I can understand it. If it's not there, I can understand it even better if it is there. And I think I have an idea where it's at. I'm working on it. All right. Next show, we'll talk about that.
All right. Let me hit you with a question here real quick, Dr. Rand.
Sure.
The sun. What exactly is the sun made? I mean, some people speculate that it's a stargate and that it's, you know, just a ball of gases that has no core. I mean, do we really know what the sun is made up of exactly?
Of course. Of course.
And what is that?
It's a fusion. It's basically a fusion machine, and it does have a core, and it's molten. And it's a huge electromagnetic dynamo. On top of everything else, it's an electromagnetic dynamo machine that controls enough energy to extend this energy out to the entire solar system. What do you think holds each planet in its orbit? I mean, we can go way, way out here, Michael, and get really confusing.
Well, let's do that.
Oh, you like to do that?
Whatever it takes. I want to understand this because, you know, I don't know. Some people think that it could be a Stargate, and if it's what science says it is,
it might be, but that's not what we're talking about.
True.
We're talking about the construction and what is and why is the sun. Now, it might be a Stargate, but that's not what we're going to concentrate on. We're going to concentrate on the physical properties of the sun.
Dr. Ramback, and I just want to say this. I'm okay with controversy. I'm okay. People disagree. But, you know, if you're going to bring proof, and for me, YouTube videos and Google pictures don't do it for me. I'm talking about solid evidence. I deal with science and fact. And if anybody's going to dispute anything, at least have something, you know, more than just a YouTube video to back it up. And that's just how I roll. I mean, if I believed everything that everybody told me, I'd be afraid to leave the house. I'd be shaking like a leaf in a corner, wrapped up in seaweed or something. I mean, you know, so, you know, what is the sun? Why does this do that? I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm not claiming to be. I don't have all the answers. But when I bring a guest on like Dr. Rand, he's got one hell of a background. So, you know, I can't argue with him about anything that he's telling me because I don't know. But I do go by his background, the evidence that he presents, the evidence that science presents. And it tells me that, you know, I don't know, maybe the sun could be a Stargate, this, that, and the other thing. But for everything to be an illusion, then why do we even bother? Why do this show tonight? Why get up and go to work tomorrow? If it's just an illusion, I mean, what's the consequences of not going along with an illusion? So, you know, believe me, I mean, again, I have nothing against anybody who disagrees, but you can't call somebody wrong until you can prove them wrong. And that's just what I wanted to say about that. So the lines are open. I mean, you're more than welcome to call in if you've got the answers and we're wrong. 803-369-3608. I mean, it's that easy. Feel free to call in. But other than that, Dr. Rand, let's get back to it, my friend. We are back. And
alrighty.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I hear a lot of wild things, Dr. Rand. I really do. It's just I can't grasp onto everything, not without proof. I'm just one of those people.
Well, that shows that you have discernment and that you understand various levels of intelligence and understanding because you are a seeker.
Yeah.
Okay?
I want the truth. I don't want theory. I don't want somebody's opinion. Really, I mean, I don't mind it, but if you're going to tell me this is the way it is, I've got to see some proof. And with Planet X, I've been on both sides of the fence with that thing for a long time, and I believe it's out there. I have no doubt that it's out there. But You know, are there going to be little aliens coming with it and all the things that the stories that people write on it?
Well,
I'm not so sure.
We still got plenty of time tonight to cover a whole lot of ground, right?
We sure do.
Then what we'll do is we'll reserve a part of the show for a discussion on another one of the planets that was part of the 12 called Nibiru, which is the Sitchin source of his thinking, that Nibiru was or is the planet of the giants of old in the Bible, the Nephilim.
Oh yeah, I've heard
Remember
about. Oh
those little stories and things?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Now, supposedly the Nephilim came here unannounced and commingled and impregnated, I guess, a form of human womanoid way back. And that is what probably caused the sudden development of Homo erectus, or modern day man. In other words, somebody was tampering with somebody. You following?
Sure, and there's proof that the giants were here and they're finding skeletons. But you won't hear about it on the mainstream media, will you?
Now even that's covered in biblical lore. You see? In fact, it's in the Bible.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, and I don't want to get all entangled into that. That's not the point.
No, it's not.
Other than there's another connection to Planet X. Because some people, some strains of thought, believe that this brown dwarf star, which does give off its own heat signature, but it's not much, could be towing behind it in its wake Nibiru. And we haven't seen Nibiru yet. Personally, I don't think we will. But if we suddenly discover and suddenly start seeing another planet, possibly the size of Earth, then we'd have some thinking to do, wouldn't we, everybody? Huh?
Yeah.
Maybe Sitchin's right. Now, I believe that there was a planet Nibiru. The question is, where is it? It may have escaped the influence of the solar system because it might have been caught up by the influence of the little baby sun when it got sucked out into its orbit. You see where I'm, and this is far-fetched, but it's totally possible. It could be that when that little baby sun, the size of Saturn, big, 60 times its mass, went whizzing by. Now, kids, no fighting. Now I got Samantha and Shadow kind of hissing and snarling at each other. Come on, guys. Come on. I'm on the radio. Have some. Listen, I bring home the bacon here. Peace. That wasn't very nice, was it? So, it's possible that when this baby sun was kicked out of its orbit, hey, can you hear that, Michael?
Yeah, I hear that.
Hey,
the kids are fighting, huh?
They're just playing, but it's irritating. Now, come on, guys. Now, Shadow's here. He wants to be in the act. You know, I'm going to ask for your union card. Next time you do this, I want to see your union card. Yeah, you know how far that got me, Michael?
Oh, probably not far at all.
place we call home, planet Earth. You know, they call it third rock from the sun and all that stuff. We're going to touch on Planet X too, so don't worry. This is about Planet X. We're talking about the effects of it, but I'll talk about Planet X in a separate conversation. I want to go back to what's going on locally, regionally, nationally, hemispherically, and then globally.
Okay.
All earthquake, volcanic, fire, wind, tsunami, solar, all of these aberrations, all of them are totally off the chart as of this moment in time. They're at their all-time highs. Some of them, the records have now been broken 2 or 3 times in the last year or two. People are just not awake. They're not interested. Maybe they are, but they don't know how to figure out where to find the information. For instance, if you want to have some fun and go, oh my God, I can't believe how many earthquakes there are, I want you to try something. I personally subscribe to USGS, and I've asked them to send me email alerts on any and all earthquakes. Well, let's just say from 5 above. Forget about all the 4s and the 3s that set up the bigger ones.
And back to late night in the Midlands. Doctor, welcome back.
Well, here we are. Thank you for having me back.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you. And whenever there's some new type of Planet X stuff coming out, you know you're the first one I go after.
Well, we have, what, a couple hours tonight, huh?
Yes, sir, we do.
Well, let's tackle this from a little different perspective than what we usually plunge right in and rock 'em, sock 'em, and this is that and that. I want to ease into something that I've noticed has been happening across the planet in terms of its inability to successfully deal with ever-growing intensity of Mother Nature's natural disaster. I know I hate to start out, with having to talk about all the bad stuff going on, because it's going on. No one's talking about the escalating earth changes. There's so much other garbage out there,
There is.
Congressman Wieners runs the mayorship. Give me a break. There are serious things that are taking place across this, right into Planet X, I guess, huh?
Yes, we have.
Well, I mean that's fine. That's what we do, you and I.
Right.
All right. Well, we had left off where I'm now so in tune with my 5 rescued kitty cats, my dear friends, that they're teaching me, and I hope I'm teaching them, because I've taught them where I've got emergency stashes of food and water for them in several parts of the house, in case I am struck with something. At least they'll have food up and down. See, people got to realize those animals are in my charge. If something happens to them, I have to deal with myself because I wasn't prepared, or I didn't care, or whatever. The point is, they're lives. They're not human lives, but they're lives, and they're our souls. All right. So I'm beginning to put all the pieces together now, even far closer than the last time you and I were together with your audience. Everything, I have to say it right from the beginning of the show, Michael. There isn't a thing you and I have talked about. There isn't a statistic we have cited, there isn't a source we've led you to, there isn't an untruth that we've spoken that you cannot go out and show us that we are 100% correct. We have been right in all of our predictions. And if there's any exaggeration, I held back on how severe I thought some of it was going to be, to put to depth. And I asked for a specific region. I said I wanted the Ring of Fire. We all know what the Ring of Fire is.
Oh, yeah.
And by gosh, they set me up. And for the last year and a half, I get 2 or 3 a day. I'll repeat that again. I get 2 or 3 a day. 6, 7, 9, 7, 7, 6, 6 and a half. And they're all coming up and down. It's like running a marathon from one end of the Ring of Fire to the other. They ring from up in the Aleutians all the way down to the Pacific and all the way back up, all the way around. I mean, it's like charm. They're up 450%. I don't know if that really rings your bell or not.
Oh, absolutely.
I didn't say 4.5%. I said 450%. And the severity and the depths are getting shallower and shallower. That's not good.
No, that's not good.
That's not good. Now, we've already talked about danger of earthquakes and how to do this. What's the matter? Oh, my goodness. Well, Mike, we have an interruption. What's the matter, little guy? One of my kitty cats, every once in a while when the wind blows, and we've had a little wind tonight, my one little kitty cat, come on, Rascal, my little beautiful American gray, he whines like a little child. Let's digress for a second. We've got 2 hours, right? 2.5 hours?
Yes, we do.
I wanted to. We're still talking about the Earth changes thing. We're not changing channels. I want to shift it to what's happening to the animal world in all of this stuff. My cats are becoming extremely aware of slight changes taking place, either in rain or wind or thunder. They used to never be afraid of the thunder and lightning. Never. I've had them every 4 years. In the last 13, 14 months, they've all developed this strange, unsettling, uncanny fear, and they all hide deeply into a closet as they can, as if they understand, as if they already understood about tornadoes. And that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
I think they instinctively know when these events are about to happen. So I'm learning from them, and they're teaching me about how to get prepared. That's how serious I take all of the things that you and I talk about.
Absolutely. And Dr. Wren, I had mentioned to you earlier about this Google Sky image that's out there. And, and I went and checked the coordinates, about 4:30 in the morning after my show last night. And sure as can be, it is there. It's moving right along, I guess. But now
Of course, it's on its outward passage, but it's still close. And it's still disturbing our sun. I guess we segued